Hello, welcome to today's Decay. Celebrating births and beginnings of everything important since the dawn of time. It is April 22nd, and that means it's time for another espresso martini! Oh, yeah, that's the stuff. All right, so what happened today? 1840, Odilon Radon was born. I may or may not be pronouncing that correctly. You never know. But he was an artist who I was very lucky to have seen an exhibit of his at the MoMA, let's say about 15, 20 years ago. What year was it? 2005? 2004? I don't know. MoMA. And I had never heard of his stuff before, but he is full of like dark and ominous creatures, and everything is. I don't know if he ever actually illustrated like Edgar Allan Poe content, but he's the sort of artist that I could see such things happening. Lots of skeletons, lots of spiders, all sorts of exciting things. Odilon Radon, like I said, maybe pronouncing it wrong. Odilon Redon. One of those things that I'm very happy to exist in New York City, where I get to see these type of exhibits. Yeah. Rondo Hatton, born today, 1894. Interesting and unfortunate creature who one of his characters was the Creeper. I believe he started off as a football player, voted most popular or good looking or something like that in school. A cookie cutter, Americana type person. And then what is it? Acriomed? Nope. I'm not even gonna attempt. Bad things happened to him, and he wound up being subject to like his body like falling apart on him, basically, where like all of his extremities, head, shoulders, knees, and toes. That's not true. More like eyes, or rather nose, lips, ears, hands, you name it. Everything just kept like growing, and he was viewed as like a monster, and wound up in Hollywood billed as such. He was like kind of the 1940s answer to Lon Chaney Sr., which is wild to think because Lon Chaney Sr. was the man of 1,000 faces because he could make up his face with makeup in 1,000 different ways. And Rondo Hatton didn't have any makeup on. He was just like himself, dealing with like a degenerative disease, and that's it. As like horrible and gut-wrenching as that is. And so there he was, like progressively getting worse and worse in each movie he was in, not because of like Jack Pierce's makeup or something like that, but rather just because like his disease was getting the best of him, and like his body was taking it was taking a toll on his body. Yeah. John Waters, born today in 46. Love John Waters. Yeah. I had a bootleg Pink Flamingos poster that I found on South Street in Philadelphia in the late 90s, and they spelled his name wrong on it. They wrote it as John Walters, and I brought it to a signing he did at, I want to say, the TLA, in like 98, 99, something like that. And he thought it was really funny that they spelled his name wrong, and he signed it John Walters. And ridiculously, I cannot find this poster today, and it's kind of, I think I brought it up a month or two ago on this thingamajig, and it's kind of like bored into my brain of like, where's that poster? Like, that's ridiculous. How did I couldn't have just thrown it out. Did I give it? There was a point where I was like literally gifting things in my apartment out to friends, like a lot. And I think that might have been one of those things, but like, would any of them have appreciated that story? And where is it now? I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, the Two Eyes Coffee Bar opened its doors for the first time today in 1956. I got to go to where the Two Eyes Coffee Bar was on my last trip to England in March, and I was really happy I did. It's kind of one of those bucket list things. I love going to places that don't exist anymore, although of course I'd prefer if they still existed, but I think from like a energy standpoint, I think I was like yelling about this yesterday, that like we're just molecules who have like convinced ourselves inaccurately that like we're human beings, and that like energy seeps from like a parallel universe or something like that. I think that's what I was yelling about yesterday. And I would pair that with this idea that like, you know, if you put a lot of energy and thought and excitement into like a place and a time, then like that continues to exist in some form or another. And even if there's nothing there anymore whatsoever to remember it by or mark it by, that still happened, and you can still take note of what once was, because it's still sort of there. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it's currently a pretty lame 50s style restaurant, and yet whatever, a sucker for it regardless. What is my point? Two Eyes Coffee Bar was the epicenter of 50s British rock and roll, where kids would just get like transfixed by espresso. Ha ha! Didn't even do that on purpose. And bug out to wild rock and roll. And so yeah, here we are. Ditto in 2023. What else? The Beyond first premiered today, 1981. Lucio Fulci, one of his best. All I can do is kick myself for not embracing this era of filmmaking more in my earlier years, because it's really good. And my old roommate, Gene Altieri III, used to screen this and many more of this era of stuff all the time. And I was like, yeah. I like Universal monster movies and silent stuff, and I will watch what you're watching, but I'm not really into it. And I was wrong. I'm wrong a lot, and this will be one of those times. This stuff is great. The Beyond, excellent. All for it. Fulci lives. Anyway, that's it. April 22nd, from me to you. Till tomorrow. Goodbye.